Hey guys, how's it going? Denny here from the Ghost Tour. I'm just out here in the Colonial Williamsburg historic area. I'm actually at the Secretary's office here, as well as the Jones family cemetery. Now, I know I posted a very short 20-second clip here recently where I was attempting to make contact with the spirits of the Jones family cemetery, but I am actually here to tell you a little bit about the Jones family today and break down the little bit of history that I know. This would have been their home right here when they lived here, starting in the 1870s. Today we call it the Secretary's office because it's an 18th century building, and officials decided to build the Secretary's office in which to protect the official papers of the Virginia colony after a fire destroyed the first Capitol building in 1747. And it was done by 1748. The building was designed to be fireproof, and the building also contained an office for the Secretary of the colony. Pushing the 18th century history aside here, we do know that in 1879, the property was purchased as a deed was recorded in the James City County Courthouse by David Rowland Jones. David Rowland Jones was actually a descendant of Reverend Rowland Jones, who was the first rector of Bruton Parish Church here in the city of Williamsburg in 1713. Now, David purchases this property, and he and his wife, Mary Tinsley Jones, end up actually moving in. And let's just say they're a wonderful family. There's not a whole lot of information available to actually, get into great detail about, but from what little there is, they were very involved in their community. They were good Christians. David was a very proud businessman, and he took care of his family. And they had 10 children. That's the crazy part. 10 children. And 7 of them are buried right here in the Jones family cemetery. Now, let me tell you, there are some stories about this family. There are some wild stories. And it's all urban legend. It's all urban legend. There's just never enough time. But to make a long story short, people have been saying for years and years and years that David, the father, was very protective of his little girls. So much, in fact, that he told them they could never be married. And of course, he never handed out that blessing. And one of them, Maude Jones, came to him as a young teenager, 16 years old, and she said, "Daddy, I've met a boy, we're in love, and we want to be married." And of course, we all know how the story goes. Dad said, "No, not happening." Well, that's okay. Ida, being the headstrong girl that she was, as the story goes, made up a plan with her and her beau. They were going to run away together. She packed a bag, waited for her parents to fall asleep one night, and once they were catching those Z's, as we say, off she went with her bag. She ran out of the house, ran down Duke of Gloucester Street in the distance, and when she got to be about like a block or so away from where her beau was waiting with a carriage, she actually got the surprise of a lifetime when a carriage without a driver attached came around the corner and trampled her to death. As we can imagine, she was very distraught over this. The mother, of course, the father was as well. And the family was shaken to their cores. They were shaken to their cores, and they were inconsolable for quite some time. I mean, who could, easily bounce back from such a tragic death like that? But the beau, we don't know what really happened to him. Supposedly he drove off into the night, never to be heard from again. And Ida was laid to rest here in the family cemetery located on the property. For some time, not much was said about her tragic passing. And then, well, weird things started happening. Folks started reporting weird light anomalies, shadowy figures, a little blonde girl in a white dress. The list goes on and on and on. Well, we know one night a tour guide was actually passing by this very cemetery on the opposite wall, just over there. And as he was walking along, he heard what sounded like somebody crying. Well, that seemed kind of perplexing, so he took his lantern, he scanned it over the wall, and he saw what looked like a shadowy figure in all black kneeling at the foot of Ida's grave. Well, that figure instantly jumped up off the ground and it started running for the corner of the cemetery. He shined that lantern in that direction where the figure was running, and before you know it, it had dissipated into thin air right before his eyes. People speculated after that, okay, who is it? What are they doing here? Obviously paying respects. That would seem to be the case. But that was just one of countless stories. Countless stories. I've seen this shadowy figure kneeling at the foot of Ida's grave, paying their respects, no doubt. But who was it? Was there any truth to it at all? Was this an actual ghost story? Or was this something that was being made up to perhaps scare children or just make a few bucks off your unsuspecting tourist who wouldn't know any better? Here's what I'm here to tell you right now. I'm that person who digs into the history. I do my homework. This is a long-standing urban legend. This is not a ghost story. A lot of the facts here don't even add up. So, upon further research, again, while there isn't a lot of information available about the death of Ida Maude Jones, here's what I do know. She did die as a young woman, early 20s, in 1903, from consumption. Yeah, you heard it. She had consumption. She had been fighting it for about a year, and she sadly passed away right there within the walls of her own home. And she was sorely missed after that. She was a bright light here in the community, and I just don't have the words. I can feel the emotion in this just talking about it. Ida, she was an assistant school teacher at the Nicholson School here in the city of Williamsburg. And here's the crazy part. She died of consumption in 1903. Her sister, Hattie, died the year before her from consumption in 1902. And then the year after Ida passed away, her sister Mary died from consumption in 1904. And around and round and around we go. And contrary to what all the other tour companies come out here and talk about, there were more than just the 7 children that are buried here in the cemetery. There's 2 sons and another daughter as well. Now, this family story deserves to be told properly, and if I have anything to do with it, I'm going to do just that. And history, unfortunately, didn't choose to remember them very well, other than a few obituaries and, a public record, like a deed here and there. But that's the fun part for me. That's the challenge. And I know I'm going to find what I need to eventually, but I think I'm going to have a conversation with the Jones family themselves and hear the stories from their mouths. I mean, what better way to add the missing pieces to this very mysterious yet tragic puzzle? Anyway, guys, thank you. This is Denny from the Ghost Tour.